Hi, I'm Kevin and welcome to my channel. Today let's talk about meal planning for groups in the backcountry. This video is going to be about how to divide up the labor of planning and preparing meals for small, medium, and large groups. This video was inspired by a recent question I saw on a Facebook group that I belong to. Somebody asks, see what I did there? I changed the name to somebody. Somebody asks, how do you manage food on backcountry camping trips with a group? Do you do communal meals or do you do individual meals? I think this is a really great topic that does not get enough attention, and that's why I covered it in my book, Backcountry Eats, Making Great Dehydrated Meals for Backcountry Adventures. I've got a whole section on meal planning and preparation and how to deal with larger groups. So if you're interested in the book, you can find out more information at backcountry-eats.com, or you can look below for links in the description. So let's dive a little bit deeper here. What is this person asking? Well, they go on to say that for years, I've been the person who deals with planning, purchasing, dehydrating, organizing, etc. for our group trips of typically 6 men in total. So here you go. Here's a situation where you've got a guy who for a number of years has been tripping with the same 5 friends, and he's been taking on 100% of the meal planning and preparation responsibilities. Over the years, I've noticed that most long-term stable camping groups like this have at least one person who tends to take on all the responsibilities of planning and preparation. If they don't take on all the responsibilities, they certainly coordinate amongst all the others. Some people just enjoy doing that. And you know what? If you're one of those people who enjoys doing that like me, you don't need much reward. All you really want is a nice little subtle acknowledgement from your friends.
What you're looking for is like in Pulp Fiction when Mr. Wolf thanks Jimmy for his coffee. He takes a sip, he enjoys it, and
That little simple acknowledgement really does go a long way. If you want to express your gratitude further, offer to do the dishes or bring along a beverage to share around the campfire. Unfortunately, not everyone enjoys that experience. Some people just take it on because they feel that if they don't take it on, no one else will. I think this person is a little bit like that because they go on to say that those of you who have done this before know that it can be a pain in the but as they say, if you want something done right, you need to do it yourself. So here's a little tip. If you're camping with someone like this and of this personality type, and it's not a bad type, it's just an honest type, and you're relying on them to do all the meal planning and preparation, you don't want to just acknowledge them subtly. You really want to help them out. You want to make sure that you're offering to do the dishes and other chores. In fact, don't offer, just do them and thank them very much for what they're doing, because that coordination that they bring is really essential to the group success. This person goes on to say that on a recent trip with 3 dads and 5 kids, he made the executive decision to manage his family's own food, and he told the other guys to bring their own stove and cutlery, etc. I think this is a really great solution. I think this makes a tremendous amount of sense. It's really interesting how the group here has only increased by 1 person, but the difficulty level has gone up tremendously. This is a person who is skilled at planning and preparing meals for 6 people, probably every year. The group changes to 7, and things become challenging. So this is really all about group dynamics. You have to recognize that this group has really changed here. The group has gone from 6 guys who probably all know each other fairly well. They've traveled together before. They know each other's preferences. They're probably not very picky eaters. They probably have similar food preferences, and they probably enjoy similar portion sizes. Now consider this new group. This guy is going with his 2 daughters and 2 other families, two dads, and a total of 5 kids. The level of difficulty here in meal coordination and food customization just went up exponentially. So in this video, I thought I would share some typical ways that you can divide up the food organization and preparation for small, medium, and large groups. So let's start with really large groups of like 20 or more. Most people aren't going to be traveling in groups of that size, especially in the backcountry, but it makes a really good starting point for discussion. So I haven't camped like this in a long time, but when I was younger, I was heavily involved with Scouts Canada. I traveled to the World Jamboree in Australia and did a number of development projects in Africa, actually. So you might not truly consider this camping, but we certainly lived in tents and we prepared food as a group, and we did so for groups of 20 to 40 people sometimes. So when you're cooking for that many people, 20 to 40 people, Something that I call the kitchen patrol method works really, really well. It provides a lot of efficiencies, especially when you're working on a project and you want most people to have free time to work on that project. So in this situation, what you do to make this work is, of that group of roughly 20 people, you're going to pick a subset and you're going to say, okay, you guys are the chefs. You guys are going to spend 100% of your working time on kitchen patrol. You will be doing all of the meal planning, the food sourcing, the meal preparation, and cleanup. You might get some volunteers to help you with cleanup, but you're certainly going to be doing the organizing of the cleanup. And this works really, really well because those folks who are not on kitchen patrol have an awful lot more time that they can devote to the project that you're working on. So to make this work, you're probably going to be rotating people through that kitchen patrol just so that you're sharing equally in all the duties. And to really make this kitchen patrol system work, you're going to want to gear up for it. You're going to want to have larger pots and pans and a grill probably, and get yourself set up in a real expedition style kitchen with stoves that can heat water, large pots of water, more efficiently. So the kitchen patrol system can be very, very efficient, but it might not be completely appropriate for all outdoor recreation systems. First off, the commitment to a kitchen patrol schedule might not be the kind of thing your group is looking for. And secondly, you're going to have issues with equipment in most backcountry situations. Bringing large pots and appropriate sized stoves might not be what you want to do, especially if you're in a backpacking kind of situation. And even if you did bring very large pots, they're going to take a very long time to boil. In a kitchen patrol situation, because those people are working all day, you can afford to spend 50 minutes or an hour bringing a pot up to boil because you have all day, and as long as you're organized, it's going to work out. But if you're in a situation where you're backpacking, you get to camp late and want to cook for a large bunch of people, it's going to take some time, and your diners are likely to get grumbly. So the gear here really matters as well. Group dynamics is very important, but so is your gear. And most normal size stoves and pot sets, we'll stick with stoves and not get into fire, but most normal size stoves and pot sets are really designed to be optimal for group sizes of 2 to 4 and very optimal for groups of 3 to 4. You know, a group size like that is also very efficient for planning. If you're trying to have a meeting with a dozen or more people to talk about meal preferences, that can get out of hand. But in a group of 3 to 4 people, you can have that conversation relatively efficiently.
So instead of employing the kitchen patrol method, most outdoor schools and other groups will break up that larger group into smaller cooking teams of 3 to 4 people. They find a lot of efficiency in this.
So let's go back to the original situation at the beginning of the video where we had one person doing all the meal planning and preparation for a group of 6. 6 people is a really difficult size group to meal plan for because you're beyond that optimal size of pot set and stove. You're going to be looking at a larger pot set, larger stove, or you're more likely going to bring 2 stoves and 2 pot sets. Once you do that, you might still be making 1 pot meals and just doubling your capacity, but you're going to gravitate towards having a main dish and a side dish, and things get more complicated really quickly. It makes a lot of sense at that point to do more coordination and enlist the help of others and get them to help, and that's probably going to happen naturally. But my point is, it's going to take a lot more energy to organize for 6 than it does for 2 groups of 3. The other really important thing to consider is how tight is your group. A tight group is going to be made up of family or close friends. You've probably traveled with them before. You trust them. You know that they're going to show up. You know that if they say they're going to bring the pot set or 3 meals or whatever their commitment is, that they're actually going to bring that. And because of this, you can experience a lot of group synergies and efficiencies. So here's a photo of me and my buddy, and we're on a backpacking trip, and I think this photo illustrates the point. This is our kitchen setup. We've got a tarp that we're sharing, and we're sharing a stove, we're sharing fuel, and we've split the meal planning up 50-50. And there's some great efficiencies here, especially when you're carrying everything on your back. And it was on that very same trip that we bumped into a group of 6 sea kayakers. We were hiking a coastal trail, and they were paddling the lake beside us. And occasionally we would bump into each other and ended up sharing campsites on the trip. And I made the comment to one of the folks in the group that gee, that's an awfully large group, 6 people. And the comment I got back was, no, this group was supposed to be 10 people. 4 people backed out at the last minute. 40% of the people committed, who said they were committed, backed out of the trip at the very last minute. So that's a loose group. And in a loose group, you want to make sure that you're completely self-contained and that you're not relying on someone else to bring an essential piece of gear like a stove. So for a group like that, in order to be successful, everyone's got to be self-contained. So I really hope that helps you frame some of your thinking if you're planning a trip of a large group. I really suggest that you really understand your group dynamics well. Understand, is your group tight or is it kind of loose? Understand who is the committed leader and coordinator of the food. I hope you heed my advice and break your group down into subgroups of 3 to 4 people. That's going to make things much more efficient. And if it's a really loose group, then you really need to consider going self-contained. All right, thanks a lot, guys. I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, please hit like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.